Welcome to BlackUSA.news morning show. I'm your host, William Honolulu Jr. Join us as we explore the news and opinions that impact our community. We break down how the major stories have a very personal, local, and racial impact. No topic is off limits, but even if the conversation gets rough, we're always going to keep it real. Greetings and salutations, all my people out there in internet land. My name is William Honolulu Jr., and I have the honor and privilege of serving as the host of the Black USA News morning show. Welcome to March 16th, 2022, the 16th day of Women's History Month and National Vaccination Day. I know in the last little bit of time, vaccinations have become very controversial, especially with COVID and kind of the implications on freedom and things like that. One of the things that I do want to point out today on National Vaccination Day is that there are a whole host of diseases that we don't have to deal with anymore because of vaccinations. Polio, tetanus, hepatitis B and A, measles, rubella, and a few more. Has the government and the healthcare system been unfortunately cruel and exploitive of Black bodies over the course of our time here? Hell, our time on this planet? Yes, that's absolutely true. That has happened. Most notably is the Tuskegee experiment, but day to day, Black bodies and Black lives are assaulted by the medical system. But that does not mean that certain things don't work. So I encourage you to spend some more time and think through vaccinations. And for those of you all who have been vaccinated, measles, mumps, rubella, tetanus, all of that, congratulations, let's celebrate. And with the vaccinations, we can keep the number of people getting sick from these diseases down. Big ups as always to the super producer, Kyle Crazy Horse Morgan, who ensures that we have what we need to be successful and to bring you a quality show. We have had a wonderful month of Black women. Yesterday, we had Sanahara Brown talk to us about her journey through Black womanhood and what that looked like as she got in touch with her more metaphysical side and how she's been able to blend her metaphysical with the knowledge that she has gained through being a nurse, to the work that she's done in Reiki, and other healing modalities. It was phenomenal, and I'm looking forward to the next time I have her on the show. So if you didn't catch that, make sure you go back and check that out. It was amazing. You know how we do. Big up to Nigel Wright Nigel Wright Brown of the Land of Kush. Vegan food, because I believe life is better with bacon. I'm not even gonna lie. I love especially pork. Love it, literally love it by the pound. But in working with the Land of Kush and tasting their food, I was like, wait, this tastes good to have no meat in it. It was crazy. I was weirded out. And then when I started getting invited to the Vegan Soul Fest, and I started going and really realizing how spices and textures really play and aromas really play into food enjoyment, it opened my mind. Now, I'm not giving up bacon, don't get it twisted. But I am happy that the Land of Kush is part of my repertoire, as it were. So big up to them. Happy 33rd birthday to singer Janae Aiko. Oh no, Janae Aiko. I'm sorry. I love her song "Trying to Smoke." I love the vibe to it. It's funny too, but that real subtle and slow vibe, I really do appreciate that. So happy 33rd birthday to her. For those of you all who don't know, I'm gonna drop a. I think we'll have a link in by the time this airs. I think we'll have a link to the article, but Be More News published an article on Monday, I think it was, really talking about the role of women in the upcoming elections in Maryland, the general election. This year, 2022, is an election year here in Maryland. And there are a lot of women who are running for office, and many of them are women of color. So he went down and talked about, the implications or the impact of women like Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris, and Stacey Abrams, and the impact that they had in shaping and really saving us in the 2020 election. And what that is looking like in Maryland, and really shouting out and celebrating a lot of the women that were really important in these races and things coming up. So I appreciated the article. And by the way, guess who got a quote in there? Yours truly. So go ahead and check out the Be More News article. It's going to be good. Oh, well, it is good. So let's see what else. Oh, today. Oh my goodness, today. Sorry, got my show notes. Y'all know how it goes. Okay. Today I get an opportunity to introduce you to one of my favorite people, Debbie Rock, CEO of Light Health and Well. So some of you all don't know about our Month of Black Women. So let me tell you about that first. Give you a video about the Month of Black Women. Then I'm gonna come back and tell you about Debbie Rock. Okay, here we go. Dear Shanae and Simone, as you move through life as Black women, you will have a very unique experience. In many cases, you will be asked or expected to serve in roles that weren't clearly explained, nor did you really agree to. Over the course of my life, I have met some amazing women who have navigated some of the spaces that you will encounter. I want my village to share with you their stories of trials and successes to help provide a foundation to understand your power to choose the woman that you will become and the strength that you can find in your sisters. This series of shows is my gift to you. The women you will hear from are phenomenal. They come from different backgrounds and have chosen different paths for their lives. Each represents a facet of the Black woman experience. Some of the stories may not align with your journey directly, but those stories are even more important. By listening closely, you can learn about uncommon experiences and find ways to support your sisters along your shared journey. I love you all so much, and I hope to see you soon. All right, so that's what our Month of Black Women is really about, and I am so excited, like I told you all before, that I get to introduce you to another one of the dope women that I know. She has had an amazing career, from disco entertainment into community service into creating a multi-million-dollar organization out of nothing. And on top of all that, she's created some incredible relationships. She has been, at least to me, kind of a beacon of how you can engage business in an honorable way and still have an impact and still make a decent amount of money for yourself. So I got to go back to my show notes. You all know I get excited, and Crazy Horse sent me notes and said that you need to calm down, especially when you know somebody, because you get too excited. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, I am proud to bring to you Debbie Rock.
Hi, how are you?
I am doing well.
Good.
Okay, I apologize. I went all fanboy on you, but I love you, and
I love you too. I'm honored.
Oh, thank you. So again, I read my show notes. I pay attention because I know you. I can't assume that everybody else does. So do me a favor and tell the people who you are.
So my name is Debbie Rock, and I'm the CEO and founder of an organization called Light Health and Wellness. It was formerly known as Baltimore Pediatric HIV Program. And our mission is to promote the health and wellness and education of individuals and children impacted by social and health disparities. And what does that really mean? It means that I didn't want to leave anybody out, but my main passion has always been working with individuals who were affected with HIV since 1998. And then having a child care academy was my second. Well, I don't know which one is the best. I think I'm just going to say I love doing it because it gives us an opportunity to reach people where they are. And it's starting at birth on up to 102 years old. It gives us an opportunity to see individuals face to face in a non-threatening community environment. Our child care It's open to the general public. We serve 6 weeks up to 4 years old, and then after school age kids. So that's exciting. My The HIV program, and it's not a my. It's a. I need to always make sure I say team, because that's what we are. We are as good as our uh, our team members are. We cross train.
One of the things we always do is we give flowers when they're granted. Let them know who your team is. Shout them out right now.
Okay, so my executive director, her name is Delita Galanos, and the fiscal grants management officer, her name is Regina Johnson, and then our HIV supervisor, her name is Charmaine Stern, and then she has a staff underneath of her, and then my child care director, her name is Miss Erica King, and then she has a wonderful child care staff underneath of her. And I think what I'm most honored and humbled about is that the majority of my staff have been with me for 16 years. And those that are come on, are in there with the same spirit of wanting to accomplish the mission. Is it something else that you wanted me to like kind of home in on before?
See, that's the introduction, right? That's how it is. That's warming them up, you know. So now I'm gonna start you off the same way I start everybody else off. Okay. Jeff Bezos sends a rocket into space, and some aliens are flying back past our solar system. It's like, hey, what's happening over there? That little third mud ball over there. Let's go see what's happening. So they come to the planet and they see like 7 billion people, and they start figuring out how we categorize ourselves. And they say, hey, one of these categories is Black woman.
Yeah.
So they pull you and they say, hey, you fit the demographics of what we've been told a Black woman is. So we have no reference in humanity. So can you describe to us, what is it like to be a Black woman from your perspective?
So I'm very proud to be a Black woman. I actually love being a Black woman. I think when you ask me that question, I have to think long and hard on it because, growing up, being light skinned, it was blackish. The darker you are, the more Black you are. So I think I struggled with that piece of it as well, or not more so than dealing with, other people of color. And, but I'm proud because we have been taught by our moms and our dads that we can be anything and do anything that we want. And so to be a Black woman today, I am even more proud of this generation that we have that are popping up businesses and not being afraid to like just jump in and not just have something to do something, for the greater good, but like you said, make money too for themselves, learn how to be financially, solvent for themselves and their families in the future. So I'm very proud and excited about what the young Black women are doing today. So if any way I played a part in that with the circle of women that I come into contact with, that makes me happy.
Okay. So you gave a big shout out to the current generation and the women who are really pushing the envelope and standing up in places where they have been traditionally told you don't even belong. Mm-hmm. And so let's continue on that vein. Let's talk about the young Debbie Rock. Because the young Debbie Rock.
It's funny you should go to the young Debbie Rock. So are you referring to my musical background?
Well, no, not just your musical background, because I want to talk about that later. Because I always find it interesting when we talk about you leaving that life for a life of service. So I want to talk about that later. But I'm talking about the fact that, you shouldn't have told me there was a book about you. You shouldn't have told me about that. That's what happened when I started reading stuff. Okay. Mm-hmm. What you did early in your career is that you stood in the gap where a lot of other people wouldn't. Looking at your music career, you did separate concerts on your own. So we don't talk about that part. It's not just you were a musician and a famous one at that. You took that as an opportunity to still serve. The young Debbie Rock saw a need, and she said, "We gonna carry our community on our backs with our art." So could you talk a little bit about, because the first kind of, when we used to do those concerts and then do the kind of the free silent, free separate sessions to give money to community-based organizations. That's what I'm trying to, I'm not good at this part. I get excited too easily. So but that's the part I want to talk about.
So that's where my faith and my participation in being raised up in the church, going to church every week. You know, us Black folk, we in church like 5 times a week, singing on the choir. Learning how to take care of one another. When we talk about even having the, buying the fish, frying the fish, then selling the fish, to pay a bill. Okay, that's where we learned what we needed to do to make sure that our church survived and was happy to do anything and everything that we could do. So that's where it started at. And then when going into, like you said, my music career, I did jazz, big band, worked with a couple of R&B bands. And then I think I wanted to be a Phyllis Hyman, but that didn't pan out so well. So the break came in the disco circuit. And as everyone know, majority of the clubs that you that are around, really great clubs, are the gay clubs. Loved every minute, wouldn't trade it for nothing in the world, because that's what introduced me to AIDS back then. And I got a chance, like you said, I have a humble spirit, and I think I want that to be a takeaway for people, because you never see how other people see you. And while I was, performing in a lot of these clubs across the country, I got a lot of education from different people from various backgrounds. You could be homeless and you could be $1 million, have $1 million, but in a gay club, everybody was treated equally. And these individuals, they were far more worried about, their parents or friends finding out that they were infected versus that they were gay, versus whether or not they were infected. So I got a grassroots education, and then to come back home and know that children were being infected. And this was about to hit the African-American community. It was like, oh, how can I help? And the reason I wanted to stress again my entertainment piece of it, because I didn't know diddly squat about writing grants or where to go after money. All I knew was I have a gift of asking. What's the worst thing that you can say to me is no. And that's the other takeaway that I want people to know, that don't be afraid to, walk up to someone and say, I don't know what I'm doing, or I don't even know if my mission is coming out of my mouth right. Am I saying what I need to say? Or what is that passion, or what is it that you want to change? And the third takeaway I want people to know is to find mentors, find people that know far more than you know. I always talk about, especially with young women, put your pumps on. Your pumps are made for walking, okay? And it's like you gotta do your thing to get up there and say, sit down, I need for you to talk to me. It's just and in the general conversation about how can I accomplish this, and would you mentor me? And I think that's been the biggest key for me for continuing my education. I do want to tell you who my biggest cheerleader is, and that is my husband of 41 years. I don't think I would have been able to do a lot of the things that we have accomplished had he not been that force behind me. My daughter the same way. I'm proud of her as well, who has done miraculous things and continue to do so. So that I can't take away the business accolades without saying that the music world gave me the strength to do things that I think otherwise, had I not had that what is it that when we were in a club, it's like you're playing a fantasy in a way. You're standing on a stage and you're singing, and you see all these people that are there just for you. And again, being humble, Still to this day, people say, well, where can I go and see you? And I say St. Joseph Freewood Baptist Church on Rutland Avenue. And they say, sure, right. They do not believe that I am that same person that they saw on the stage in San Francisco. So, it is what it is. It's like you use the tools that you have in your toolbox. Okay. And, the things that you need to kind of like continue to sharpen. You find those people like you, William, who have helped me and my organization to grow, in so many ways. You're that mentor, that person that we've gone to several different times that have helped us.
So one of the things that in talking about that, I often talk about how we met and how we started working together. And the way that I remember it is it was right around the time that Obamacare was being rolled out. And I worked for the state at the time, and I was telling a lot of the organizations around, I was like, hey, look, we need to really re-engineer your business models, because once Obamacare comes in, I think some of the Ryan White funding is going to start to trickle down. And most people are like, no, that'll never happen. That'll never happen. And after the one meeting, you came and said, can I meet with you? And can you explain more about it? And again, interestingly, most of the organizations that were in that cohort with you at that time, most of them don't exist anymore, especially the community-based organizations, or their missions have transitioned. And again, it wasn't that it was like, oh, you listen to me and that's what happened, but it was the fact that you were open to this idea that something could be different, and you wanted to be on the front end of that difference as opposed to waiting to see what happened. And I think, I don't think that you give yourself enough credit in that. And if you could talk about how you've been able to pull a lot of different people, because kids are not my strong suit. You've been able to pull me along in the mission and keep it going. So you've been able to stay on mission. And I've seen some of your board members and other people really try to pull you away from the mission, but somehow you're able to stay open to evolving, but still stay focused on the mission. And I know for me, that's challenging at times, especially sometimes the money interferes with all of it. How have you been able to kind of stay focused? Because you also, Light's been around coming on 25 years. So she ain't new to the game. She's true to the game. Light started off with money out of her pocket and now has crossed $2 million in actual passive. So like, we're not talking about like, oh, this is cool, I bake cookies and do stuff like that. She has created an organization that not only is financially stable, but actually whose voice changes policy. How have you been able to manage all of that? Because that's a lot. It makes me tired just talking about it.
It makes me tired just thinking about it. Again, I feel like the best way to accomplish it is my executive director, Delita. I'm lucky that she has been with us for 12 years. And so her grooming came day to day. And actually, she's much tougher than I am in some ways. But she understands that what I want our programs to continue to look like. And I don't know if I really said what our programs are outside of the child care or the HIV programs, but if I break the HIV programs up, it's emergency financial assistance, it's non-medical case management, client advocacy, it's support groups for teenagers, transgenders, all of them are separate groups according to how they want to be supported. So there are a lot of moving parts. Again, that whole concept of cross-training, going after grants, people want to give you money. They just want to make sure that you're going to be responsible for the money that they're giving you. T. Rowe Price, Weinberg,
Okay, big up to John Brothers.
John Brothers, absolutely. They want to make sure that the money that they're giving you is we're being fiscal responsible for it. And everything is like COVID now has everything so upside down. I think another thing that People need to, um, the other takeaway is to communicate just that. Here are our challenges. I want to give a shout out to, New Shiloh. Our rent was very, very high before COVID hit, and sat down with the pastor and his trustees and said, "Look, this is what's happening to us right now. And this is all we have." And he said, "Okay, let's do this, in stages," where it freed us up from having to be worried about being put out on the streets. It's just a matter of, you don't know is not know until you've tried it. So, and it doesn't hurt for us as CEOs to sit down and have a 5 or 10 minute conversation with someone that's trying to start their own program, or if we're not the expert that they need to be speaking to, make that connection with that person that they need to be talking to. I'm the am I on my fifth takeaway yet? Because my fifth takeaway.
We just keep it rolling. This is
okay. My fifth takeaway, because I don't have no notes, so I can't look down. Partnering. Partnering is so important, especially if, let's say, we have our mental health program and we're partnering with Above It All. They have a PRP program, psychiatric rehabilitation program, where we all have relationships with the schools that are in our community. And again, it is making sure that our families that we know are dealing with so much trauma. Our kids are facing so much, exposure to violence and crime, and some of our parents are not nice people. And they scream at our kids.
Yeah, that's true.
And you can tell the kids don't want to go home. So, we, again, having the opportunity to have an environment where we can, if our place is not a safe place for the parents to get, then it's our job to say, we have partners that can help you so that they can feel that their information stays confidential, because that's it at the end of the day. What else did you want to?
So kind of going over some of the things that you talked about. So I also want to point out to the audience, did you notice how she jumped back in to making sure that she was appropriately selling light? She was like, "Oh, wait a minute, no. I don't know if I told you everything.
If I told you this,
because if you need this, but that's also part of it. One of the things that I have noticed about you, or at least it seems to me, is that you have integrated all of the roles of your life and wrapped them all around service. Every time we talk about what you're doing, sometimes in opposition to the advice that I provide you forever trying to help somebody, save them, give them extra chances and stuff like that. But as we're having this conversation and some of the other ones that we have had, I realize that that's still part of your service. And you have been able, and I didn't know the story about you growing up in church and how that led to your skill set, but that makes sense. You have developed, it seems to me at least, you have developed your marital life, your familial life, your business life, your religious life, your advocacy life is all wrapped around service. And it seems like that's what you do to focus, and you just, how do I serve? Is that, or am I, because I know.
No, you're right.
Okay.
You're right. I don't know if this is, I was going to save this to the very end, but the ultimate goal is to help people break multi-generational poverty by helping them to provide creative opportunities for themselves to become change agents and their children future leaders. That's it. It is, again, taking the things that we may have to do it for them the first time that crisis happens, but then you start to engage where you have you form a relationship with them where you're able to teach them, and they want to be taught, and then they're able to, and if they can't do it, then their children, we say, okay, if that's not for you, then what are your children's dreams? And if their children want to go to college or do, some trade school, and it's like there's some math going on and you can't help them, you call us up and say, where can I get help? Physics was not my greatest suit, but I fed some Morgan students, that lived on campus to teach me how to do and get through physics when I was in college. So it's just being creative and thinking outside the box.
That is a big thing. One of the so many incredible stories about you, but one of the ones that I have seen that has actually had national public health impact was your participation in the Minority AIDS Initiative. One of the things that you all did that was amazing is you recognized that you can make as many appointments for the people that you work with their care providers as you wanted to, but they weren't getting through. So
Yeah.
and what I remember is that you all decided, well, if y'all not going, we're going to make the appointment, but we're also going to take you there.
We walk. That's right.
And what that ended up becoming was literally a model and best
National
practice.
model. Mm-hmm.
Nation, no. Internationally, the World Health
Mm-hmm.
Organization picked that up.
Mm-hmm.
But talk a little bit about how you even got to the point where you knew that was something to do, because you were still making the money. Everything you had done, you made all the appointments that you were supposed to. So why did you take it the extra step?
Because again, it's like you always say, use an analogy. You know how flip phones, we went from pages to flip phones to iPhones, and now for our elderly, we're going back to jitterbugs. And the reason I kind of like think about that these days is because when we only had the pages, that face to face, or the stigma was so hard to get, to have a conversation. If the parent, and I always use true stories, the parent would, have the child in the back with the doctor, and she'd come out and say, the doctor says my child has HIV. What does that mean? And I would say, go back there and ask them, what does that mean? And if you need me to go with you, that's not a problem. The doctor would come out and say, well, why do Black people spend so much money on their tennis shoes? It's just a communication gap that, exists still in so many ways. Yeah. But you had a community, an HIV community, Pediatrics University, Johns Hopkins. They wanted to connect. They wanted to make sure that the things that they were giving, these life, saving medications, that parents understood how to get them. So from the pager, to the flip phones, we all evolved around technology, and the more education that we had. So I think a part of my life that I didn't share was that I had the opportunity to serve on Ryan White Planning Council as chair for 3 terms. So I got to see and be a part of the things that happen here at a state and local level in changing services for individuals who were infected with HIV and AIDS. And then I got to sit on President Bush Jr.'s Advisory Council for HIV in Washington, D.C. So it gave me an opportunity to see how things were looked at globally. Did I agree that all of the money should have gone to Africa? No, I do not. Back then, because of all of the problems that we were facing here at home. But being able to get, things approved at a much faster rate through FDA, it was life-changing for me to be a part of that process. And so all of those were rich nuggets that, I was, how would you say, lucky enough to experience and then come back and, apply them to what we're doing.
So let me make sure I understand. So far, if we're doing, if you all at home are keeping up, we've covered CEO, founder, music star, advocate, and world policy influencer. I'm sure we're going to pick up a couple of things as we go on. Because and I always bring this up to you because I always want you to remember that you are amazing. Like I've seen you, I appreciate your humility, but I need to make sure that people understand when they give money to Light that it's in good hands, and because we get
Oh yeah.
the CEO is like a superwoman. She a CEO, a founder, a music star, an advocate, an agent of change, and a world like legitimately global level policy influencer. So
Yeah.
yeah, you might be okay if you send money to.
Well, I'm not going to jail for nobody. So that's number one. Well, at least I hope not. And I think, I am proud that we have been able to have 20, 3, 4 years of squeaky clean audits, and that we've been able to spend the money the way we're supposed to spend it. And again, that takes a whole team. It's not just one person. It is the board chair, who's Joseph Boyd, you know, yeah, and his leadership and all of the members of the advisory board. And here's a plug: we can always use new board members. We're always looking for individuals who, want to make a difference in a community that is doing great things. And again, looking for strong partnerships with places like Center for Urban Families, um, Robert W. Coleman School. I want to go back, and you said something about my mentors. Hey, so how did I make that transition, that hump from being on North Avenue to Windsor, or I guess put it in the other terms, a 4,000 square foot facility to a 15,000 square foot facility? Was a big major jump, and it took somebody like a Dr. Sam Ross, who was the CEO of Bon Secours, and to help me visualize and say, this is where you are today. Is this where you want to be 5 years from now? I also will give credit to Cheryl Goldstein, who used to be with Weinberg. And these are people that taught me that whole process of when you are applying for grants, they have to sell it. They're not the ones making the decision. It's trustees makes the decisions. And if you or me don't give them the necessary, reasons why you should get that money, you're not going to get it. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you're a bad program. Right. I'd always go back and say, can you tell me why I didn't get it? What can I do to make my chances next year a little bit better? So you learn. It's a lot that goes on, but it is rewarding.
A lot of your stories, especially the ones about the successes that you've been able to enjoy, have a common element where you identified a problem and was just like, oh, well, let me ask somebody. And the way you tell the story is that outreach, that engagement shifted everything. I know as I've talked to Black women through these interviews and also throughout life, one of the things that I hear often is, the idea that I have to be perfect before I reach out. Like, because as a Black woman, I'm not going to be taken seriously. Everybody is expecting me to know. And so I have to show up everywhere with all of the answers all the time. And so what I have found is that there are a lot of women who wait where other people will just jump into the market with half of their credentials or half of their ability, just jump in. But because of this idea that they have to be safe, you're like, I'm vulnerable. By the way, let me explain to you how vulnerable I am. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Help me. How do you not get caught up in the whole that fear of the judgment that comes as a Black woman who doesn't know?
So there's something else that we as social workers have been taught to do, and that is role play.
Okay.
So, if we're fearful of something or before we're going into a situation where we need to ask for money or we need to ask for some type of policy change or whatever. We, again, find someone that we can role play with, even if it's where we're role playing with one another, with, team members from your own organization. I have taught them to role play. Well, let me run this past you. Am I saying this right? Or am I not saying this right? And that helps. Or even if you find yourself in the meeting with the person after the presentation, turn around and say to them, so how did I do? because that in itself, if they weren't, it has worked for me, I think I want to say for the most of the time, because it shocks them that not only do I want to make sure that I aced it, but if I didn't ace it, I am recognizing you as the expert, sir or madam. And the next time that I present to you, I want to make sure that I'm coming back with what you're saying I should have said the first time. Mm-hmm. So you get to have a do-over. Mm-hmm. And that's where I think that we should always concentrate on, instead of walking out saying, oh, I don't think I did too good, ask them. They'll tell you. Well, be honest with you, Mrs. Rock, I wasn't even thinking about going to, some of them have said, fund you. And it's like, so I'm just taking, this interview with you because a friend asked me to. And I said, okay, I'm in receivership of that. So help me understand how I can, in the future, come back to you to get you to be someone that would invest in us. And I'm telling you, that has happened because I have an investor now that invests $20,000 a year, and he's not going nowhere. Mr. Todd Clary, that maybe 20 years ago, a coffee and that was it. Yay, Deb, but he has taught me never give up. And I think what sold him is walking in that building and those kids hugging his legs. So it's like, you just never know what the magic is going to be. I don't care how much I talk. It wasn't that. It was those kids. And then him seeing and getting a relationship with my team, mm-hmm. and seeing, firsthand how people's lives were changing. And he's just a ball of fire now, so, with his friends.
So, but it was that you developed a relationship with him. It wasn't just about getting him involved and getting some money out of him. It was, mm-hmm. let me help you understand who we are. You make mm-hmm. whatever decisions you want, but I will open up good, bad, and indifferent. Mm-hmm. And in my estimation, hell, I'll talk about myself. I think that's one of the reasons that I know our relationship moved as quickly and as deeply as it did, because there was just openness. Like, this is what it is. Mm-hmm. This is what it isn't. And again, kind of going back to that, I just really want to highlight how being vulnerable may lead you to, with some of the bad people in the world, may exploit it. But it also provides you an opportunity to get some meaningful feedback, to get some honest mm-hmm. feedback. And when people support you, they're not just supporting your avatar, your representative. Mm-hmm. You don't just talk about the 23 years of passing audits. You also talk about the dips in the line of credit, because
yes, but that was a black hole.
Right, but what I'm saying is that I want to make sure that, because this is ultimately, for me, this is about my goddaughters. I want to make sure they understand that it is one of the things that I want to highlight is that you have been honest about who you are, good, bad, and indifferent. And not only has there been challenges with that, but it's also sounded like it has paid off so much more because you develop genuine relationships. And people are willing to work with you through the challenge.
So again, I go back to talking about mentors again, because sometimes politically, there have been some of my mentors that have said to me, well, Deb, I know how you feel and you're absolutely right, but let me be the one to say what you want to say in the meeting, okay? Because they can't do nothing to me. In talking about that person saying right. They can't touch her, but they can touch me. So again, is having those relationships, with various different types of people that, believe in you,
Mm-hmm.
know that you can't do it alone. If you think you got it, God bless you. Go for it. I'm so proud of when I see these young women nowadays that are just using social media
Mm-hmm.
to further their entrepreneurship.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
you jealous? Oh well, they're the ones that's making the money.
Well, let
Okay.
me tell you, let me tell you. You talk about young girls. We a show on Monday. I basically copy and pasted one of the other host shows. I was guest appearing on her show. She brought these two entrepreneurs in. One of them has been in business for 2 years. The other one has been in business for about a year and a half, 2 years. One was 8, the other was 6.
Oh wow.
And when I tell you, I went to their website. I'm like, could you tell me who did your website? I need somebody to help me a little bit. Like, and the one Faith, big up to Zaria's Closet and Faith Showplace. The little
Hmm.
girl Faith, she came on camera with her lipstick right here like this. Like when they put her on, she was right here because you need to know you need to buy her new orange lipstick.
I
It
know
was
that's right.
it was when I tell you it just made my heart. They knew we talk about values.
Hmm.
Their family, their tribe has given them
Hmm.
those relationships to know that guess what, babe, you're safe here. We got your back.
Hmm.
And they have been able to stand 6 years old talking about what she is not going to do. I'm sorry, 6 and 8 years old talking about their profit margin markup, and it was impressive.
Hmm.
The
Hmm.
6-year-old is doing drop shipping, Deb.
Profit margin sixes. I believe it.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, but when you're talking about how they've been able to use social media and use
Hmm.
to establish these natural relationships, and it goes back
Hmm.
to the support of the team, the mentors that they have. Each one of their
Hmm.
mothers was a business owner, and the 6-year-old was like, when I was young, she said when I was young, I used to help my mother with her business, probably around 3 or 4, and then she helped me start my own. I'm like, at 3 years old, I was eating paste.
Yeah, it's amazing. It really is amazing, and I don't think enough of those stories are being told. I hope you get a lot of listeners to reach out to hear those type of journeys because that's what I feel like the news should be capturing. Yes, lots of bad things are going on. Lots of bad things are always going to go on, but showcase some of the great things that some of our kids and young entrepreneurs are doing, nowadays, because that inspires others. And so I'm grateful that you're doing what you're doing with this podcast. And I just hope that you continue to do it and it expands and it grows and that, more people can be exposed to the type of people that you're talking about.
Absolutely. And honestly, that's one of the things that I realized that the blessing that I have. The majority of my friends and the majority of my network, they're female. And it has
Mm,
given me an opportunity to see the world differently. And also, and sometimes realize that some of my role in the world isn't so cool. And that was rough because I'm progressive, I'm here, I'm helpful, and then it's like accept that you did this too. It's like wait, what? But I'm not like them. I meant it for good, and it's like you should just be quiet and listen to us. And that's been one of the things I have learned from you. I don't know that, and that was also disturbing. Real talk. You taught me that I didn't know everything. That was challenging for me because I studied, I worked, I knew stuff. I literally
oh,
my
you're
entire
smart.
brand, right? But
You're
there's a
smart.
whole there was a whole part of it I didn't know. And what happened was when you exposed me to service not just as a tactical thing. Because it's so funny. I talk to a lot of people in the community now. They're like, "How do I not know you?" It's like because an organization has already always had me. I've always done these types of things, but for an urban
Behind the
area.
scenes. You've done it
Yeah,
behind the scenes. You
Yeah,
never want to be that person standing in
no,
front of
no,
the
no,
camera.
absolutely don't. But
You know,
no,
but you know, people don't understand. Your children are geniuses.
oh no, they're amazing. Those guys
They're
are
amazing.
amazing.
They're rock stars, and so you and your wife have done a phenomenal job raising them, and they are shining examples of the gifts that y'all have given them. Very sharp. That
You know.
they need to come on and do a show.
Well, yeah, they absolutely are. The issue is that this is Black Women's Month, and
Oh,
you know,
that's right.
yeah, and we're not doing
Well,
that. Yeah, that we're not doing that for them with them. But I am going to have them come on. I talked to them about
good.
it, but I also we didn't do it earlier because real talk, I needed to talk to my therapist about it first because it's like because you know my show is open, so like I don't know what's going to happen, and it could be not good
So
for
you
me.
might start crying and stuff.
Well,
Just
not
had
just
it
no.
to you.
I've cried on the show before. I'm talking about like stuff coming up and I'm not prepared to handle it. So you felt that way? Oh my gosh.
Well, I think that's real. I mean, it's real and
Yeah.
it's raw. Let people see it.
Oh no, but I needed to talk to my therapist first so that I would be prepared for it. Like I'm not just gonna go out here and let y'all all see it and I don't know what to do with it. You can see it happening, but I'm
You
gonna have some tools in the
you can't
background.
control everything. So I just think it's great and it's going to be organic and you just let it happen. That's all.
It's gonna be interesting. Like you know, I tell you, it's going to be interesting and nothing else. But I'm sorry. But I realized that my privilege of having so many incredible relationships with incredible women was that I got to see the world differently.
Hmm.
Like you showed me that how to use service. Hell, you showed me how to establish genuine relationships. Like it's
Hmm.
not just about the commercial aspect of it, because you know that was my value. I only saw the world as, hey, let's buy and sell skill. It's all exchangeable, fungible, and wait, watch this. So if anybody ever gets an email from me, this is how you taught me about people. One of the things that has lasted like almost a decade and a half that you taught me about people. If you ever get an email from me or a text message, it normally will start off either great morning, great afternoon, or great evening. I only do that because of you. It was a lesson that you taught me. I was, especially when I was doing consulting, I get paid by the hour, so I don't want to be in nobody's pockets deeper than I have to be. So when I would start conversations or emails, it would get straight to business. You pulled me up one day and you said, I don't know how long we'll be able to do business because you were rude to my staff. Whoa, because I know how to be rude. And I was like, I've actually been quite kind. But what you said is like you don't treat them like people. You just walk in and you start talking about business like that's all they're there for. And I was like, aren't they? They're here to do work, right? We're at work, right? But you got me to see that it was more than just work. And what you have also shown me as you've grown the organization is that it's not just about the metrics. The metrics are important and you all have great metrics, but there are a lot of organizations with good metrics. Hell, there are organizations with better metrics, but it's the relationships that you've been able to establish. It is the human connection that I have seen
Yeah.
that has made the difference in many of the ways. And you know, I want to publicly thank you for that. So any of you all who get an email that, and by the way, thank you at the end. And I on my own, I added have an awesome day. That's my spin on it. But like the welcome and the conclusion, that's you. And I
Well,
appreciate
I had another method to my madness.
it.
I also wanted you to establish a relationship with them outside of me. Because again, as I continue to move forward in retiring, I want you there for them, not because you love me or
Mhm.
not because you see the things that I've done, but you've grown to say, okay, she has put this program in great hands. And they know that you're there, William, if something happens to me. See, so it's not just the respect of everybody and some people are fearful of people and it's hard if you don't see that they see it in a fearful way, but they grow too from your wisdom and I think that that's also important that people see not just one person, but they see the whole total team
Well,
family. I tend to I we always say we're family, but when we walk in that building, we are a
Mhm.
professional team with professional mission, and we need to operate like a professional team that's there to do our jobs. But we're still family. So
And I think that one of the big things that you inculcate or infuse in everything you do is the fact that you're working with humans, not
mhm,
not statistics, not clients, not patients, not grandparents. They're people,
they're
and
people.
in each engagement, and real talk, I have appreciated the fact that you have reminded me of that on a couple of occasions when my plans may have been devoid of that aspect of humanity. I mean, it's but this is but even in your description of why you did it, it was still understanding and appreciating the genuineness of relationship, the
That's it.
understanding the power of it, and again, I want them to make sure that they understand that, and that so let's I know see, this is another part of me talking about people I love. I got just get long winded and stuff, but
I
let's get
know.
some of the let's wrap this up on what has been some of your biggest successes as a black woman, not just Debbie Rogg, not just individually, but like that thing that when somebody says black woman excellence, you and they point at you, you're like, I did do that. That's me.
I started the first program that's nationally recognized for children who were born with HIV and AIDS. So I'm very proud of that. I'm humbly proud of that. And it's recognized as a national model. Um, I was able to help kinship care, standby guardianship to go through legislative wise with Senator Dolores Kelly. So to work on that policy legislation and to see it actually pass, and now it's very big. I was glad to be a part of that. Um, I'm the first thing I thought about was my husband when you actually asked me what was I proud of,
Real
because I
talk.
think he's a sexy, good guy that even after 41 years still makes me smile and blush, and I still love him just as much as I did the first day that I married him. And so I am proud as a black woman to be married to a strong black man. I'm proud of my daughter, who's a trailblazer. I could talk about her all day long, the things that she's accomplished, her MBA, her nurse, her psychiatric rehabilitation program, her marriage to her husband, Brandon Wiley. She owns a floor shop called Floors to V. You see, I'm promoting some things here.
Keep telling. I love it.
So um, I'm proud that we have been able to be a family. And not everything's perfect all the time, but we can sit around the table and say the things that are challenging to us. Our communication skills are we don't howl and fuss at each other. Um, we talk, and when we can't talk, we write. We write and leave the note. So that the person can let us sink in. Because that's just the way it is. And so the love that I feel that uh, I've been able to give out and be received back through all of my relationships with my staff, my team, with you, and everybody else. That's what I'm proud of. That I feel like we've we've created a really good community partnership.
Honestly, I can't think of a better way to end this session.
Thank
Um,
you.
I am so incredibly grateful for you spending this time with us. And just sharing about you now. Just be clear, it won't be the last time, but
That's
it is
okay.
this time.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Debbie Robb. Woo! Look at this. I told y'all, I know dope people. What do y'all? Y'all don't even understand how I roll in these streets. I am so grateful for Debbie for coming on and joining me today and just being open and honest and sharing her story. Um, we will be black tomorrow.